Are you trying to find work-life balance as a homeschool mom and momtrepreneur? Hello, wonderful mom bosses and momtrepreneurs. If you are new to the channel, welcome. I'm Jody the Mom from lifeunboxed.blog. I am a homeschool mom of 6. Yes, you heard that correctly. Ages 2 to 16, and I am a momtrepreneur. So this channel gives you all the information you will ever need to be a successful homeschool mom and momtrepreneur. So visit lifeunboxed.blog and download your free Mom Boss 2.0 workbook. So the workbook teaches you how to start a business without a niche. And oh yes, it can be done. If you like to be a rebel mom and break all the rules, visit lifeunboxed.blog and download your free Mom Boss 2.0 workbook. The workbook teaches you how to start a business without a niche. And oh yes, it can be done. If you like to be a rebel mom and break all the rules, then this workbook is for you. So now let's get into the show. Okay, so are you running around trying to conquer the world after only one cup of coffee, only to realize that there's still more to conquer? Homeschool mom and work from home mom, there is so much on our ever-growing to-do list. Do you think once everything is done, then I will get a nice break? So you run around stressing yourself out, trying to get everything done. Then the inevitable happens. Something pops up and rest becomes an elusive dream. We need to figure out work-life balance, if it does exist, and how to slow down your crazy mom schedule or just find time to take a break. Okay, so let's talk about work-life balance and how to recognize that you need it. And I'm going to say this is my caveat. I'm using this term work-life balance because it is a familiar term to everybody. I don't actually think that you're going to reach this magical place of perfect equilibrium. So let me just qualify everything else that I'm going to say with that. You're not going to reach this perfect place of equilibrium, but we're still going to use the term because you understand what we're trying to get at when we say work-life balance. So this is a hot topic for so many moms, whether you work from home and homeschool, work and school, or any variation of these. It is always a struggle to find balance. So seeing this topic discussed in different social media groups, I've reached the conclusion that most moms have just given up on the idea of balance. And I must say, the zen-like balance that we are told we need to achieve is lost on me too. I don't think we can achieve the beautiful pictures of the sunny beaches in the background. In front of you is these perfectly balanced rocks. It is the most serene and peaceful scene. Instinctively, we all know that is what we want. But reality is a far different picture than those perfectly balanced rocks. Just outside of this magical picture are kids running around screaming on the beach. Now, maybe screaming for glee, but they're still screaming on the beach. So if you are trying to do all the things, kids, school, marriage, self-care, relationships, emotional well-being of your kids, and so much more, then you recognize that you need to figure out work-life balance. But how do you actually do it? Okay, the first thing you need to do is to recognize the enemy of the good is the perfect. So I've heard this before and never, I guess I don't want to say understood it, but kind of just grappled with what does it actually mean? I'm not a fan of cliche statements that sound good but don't actually have any substance to them. And so I wanted to give it some substance. The one question that I am mostly asked by other moms is, how do you balance it all? So yes, I am a mom of 6. I homeschool 5 of them. I know, I think I'm crazy. I work with clients, and there's an expectation to be fed in this house. It is a lot to try and balance. As moms, we always want to do things perfectly. Well, at least try anyway. That causes us to do it all. But take a deep breath. You don't need to do a Martha Stewart gourmet meal every night. It is okay for the kids to make a frozen pizza, for them to make it, not for you, for them to make it. And I know, we need to maintain the image of perfectly healthy meals 3 times a day, but I won't tell if you won't tell. Sometimes in our striving for perfect, we need to settle for good enough. It is okay for the meals to be good enough. You should probably draw the line at ice cream for dinner. Not saying I know that from experience, but maybe, draw the line there. And even in your homeschool, they don't need to master every subject. I know. Everyone's screaming right now. You're probably like, what is she talking about? I need to go someplace else. But it is true. So seriously, when was the last time you used algebra? So I'm just going to tell you this. When I was a junior in high school, I took a college algebra course. I actually went to the college and I took the course and with other adults, and I got the highest score in the class. I cannot do algebra to save my life at this point, okay? Like, my son asked for help. I just look at him and I'm like, I'm sorry, I just don't remember any of it. So seriously, your kids do not need to master every subject. So start your journey to work-life balance by giving up the idea of perfect and be okay with good enough. So when we were first married, I always tried to keep the apartment, perfectly clean. Even though I worked full-time, he worked full-time, it was still something we tried to do. Then enter kid number 1. And a lot of stuff was added to our 1-bedroom apartment. But still, I worked to keep it clean and everything in its place. And I would get so frustrated when things were overwhelming. So, the clutter became too overwhelming. And fast forward 5 more kids, and I've come to terms with the constant clutter and dishes always in the sink. Seriously, we clear the sink out and 30 seconds later, there's a pile of dishes. We clean up after the toddler, and more like 10 seconds later, the mess is back where it was. So I had 2 choices. Come to terms with the fact that everything is not going to be pristine, or waste my energy on being frustrated. You can start your path to work-life balance by letting go of the perfect so you can embrace the good. So work-life balance is a journey and not a destination. So maybe it's because I'm in my 40s now, early 40s, and I have more years to look back and reflect on. But I've come to realize that most of life is about the journey, not a destination. And I know, another cliche. Yet it is true. So finding balance is about discovering it in the season you are in. So discover balance in the season you are in. Balance when I have an infant that needs to nurse and doesn't sleep looks a lot different than balance with a toddler that is getting into everything. And if we could just get 5 minutes where they don't move. So balance on a busy day full of activities looks a lot different than on days when nothing is planned, or days when projects are coming from clients at a rapid pace. Work-life balance is finding calm in the midst of your busyness. Yes, sometimes we need to make it happen, and sometimes it just does, and we can cherish those days. We do need to balance all the things, and we will get into the practical suggestions. But first, come to terms with the fact that conquering the world is going to be a slower process. Good enough is something you can live with, and balance is not a destination to reach. I must say, as I was writing the script, I was feeling very zen and balanced. But it was Saturday morning and the kids hadn't weren't awake yet. So, could be why the zen feeling was happening. Okay, so let's get into the practical. So 3 tips. I'm going to give you 3 tips for work-life balance and how to practically do it. So all the experts will tell you that in order to find balance, you need to cut down your task into just the essentials. Learn to say no more often. Well, I can agree with the sentiment. What about those of us who have cut down but are still busy? We are just focusing on the essentials, but it is still a lot on our plates, right? So how do we do it? Okay, so tip number 1 is to pace yourself. See everything as a marathon and not a sprint. And I know this is not easy to do because I prefer to sprint and hurry up and get things done. But I don't have the time to hurry up and get it all done. So learn to schedule your day, and I'm going to have extra resources for you in the show notes and the description, so be sure to check it out because there'll be a lot more on, for example, how do you plan for the day so your kids know what to do and you keep your sanity, simple things like that. So figure out how many tasks you can reasonably do in a day. And the key word here is reasonably. And start by asking yourself, what would your perfect day look like? So you can start with those things. It's very basic. But the most important thing is, what can you reasonably do? Don't overload your schedule. Just think of what you can actually get done. Number 2, schedule breaks. Even if it's only 10 to 15 minutes, schedule a time to sit on the couch and drink a cup of coffee. Put your feet up, close your eyes, and slow down. Mom, we have to take a break at some point, and we need to give ourselves permission to take them. Otherwise, we will burn out. I never realize how tired I am until I stop moving, and then I usually crash. So even if it's just like 5 minutes, find some time to just recharge your batteries. And number 3, spread it out. Everything doesn't need to get done right now. I know, but if you don't do it right now, then you will forget it. Or you will forget all the ridiculously good ideas you have floating around in your head. So at times like these, have a notebook on hand, and I have a few suggestions. You can get this one's my Cherry Blossom Spring Notebook, Memorable Musings. Or Step 1, Coffee. Step 2, Conquer the World. Or Supermom. So, yes, that was a shameless plug, but I will leave the link is below for all of the Dot Grid journals, and they fit very well into your purse and into small spaces, so you can keep them all over your house. So, yes, you need to get it done, but it all doesn't need to get done right now. And I need to remind myself of this. Well, actually, my husband reminds me of this on a regular basis. Okay, so let's wrap it up. So work-life balance and how to find it in your busy mom schedule. So these are really simple steps to take. And you may already know this, but sometimes it is nice to know you're not alone. And it is okay to give yourself permission to slow down or to not cook that Martha Stewart gourmet meal. So our lives are busy, and sometimes it just can't be helped. But if we don't learn to control our lives, then someone else will. So it is up to us as individuals to take control and responsibility for the type of lives that we want to lead. And I like this quote, so I'm going to leave this with you. If you don't design your life, someone else will design it for you, and you may just not like their idea of balance. So this is something that I need to remind myself of daily, and I am always looking for ways to improve. What do you do that helps you slow down and rest, but still accomplish your task? Let me know in the comments below. Moms, I am so glad you joined me today. If you want to help spread the word, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember to check out the Life Unboxed store for all of your Mom Boss merch. And you can support the show with coffee. Visit Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/Life Unboxed blog. For more great momtrepreneur content, follow Life Unboxed on social media or check out lifeunboxed.blog and be sure to share the podcast and video with your friends. And I will see you in the next show.